Howdy, this is Mackenzie Franklin from SideGame LLC here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I'm joined by my co-host Corinn as we talk about all of the board games that we've been playing. Corinn, the super blonde nerd, how are you doing?
Doing pretty good, Mackenzie. How about you?
I am wonderful. It's the middle of the week. Lots of snow here in Colorado. We've been recovering from these freezing weather, freezing temperature. So now everybody's warming up and things are getting a little bit back to normal. How about yourself?
We have gotten just gross cold drizzle. Like not even like some people that live in Northern Virginia, they got some like a dusting, but not down here. Nope, just rain.
Well, enough about the weather. Let's talk about what we're here for, board games. Now, starting off, if you haven't subscribed to Corinn's channel over at SuperBlondeNerd, she just released 2 videos that I was super anticipating, her favorite board games from last year that she played, as well as her aesthetically pleasing board games. So make sure to check those out. Corinn, anything else that you're excited for?
Oh my gosh, yes. The Stonemaier just released their kind of upcoming games for this year or what they're working on. So I'm super excited for a sequel to Scythe and then another Tapestry expansion.
Yeah, I was surprised. It already is here, that third Tapestry expansion. It makes sense set in the future, so you have all these historic new ideas. I'm looking forward to this a lot.
Yes, me too. Yeah, I'm super excited. I love Stonemaier games. I've really, all of the ones that we have played so far, really enjoyed. So
Stonemaier games is pretty hit or miss for me, but the production is always amazing. So it's always worth, I think, investing in them because if they're great, amazing, you have this awesome game that looks beautiful. And if they're not great, they generally hold their value, so it's not too bad. And that new Expeditions game looks amazing. I mean, the Scythe world put into an adventure system that's got a relatively reasonable playtime. I'm all for it.
Yes.
Looks so good. Yep, we definitely got on that pre-order. Totally.
Here.
Those are some future games. Now let's talk about what we're here for, what we've been playing. So Corinn, what's the first game that you've been playing?
Let's start with the, I almost said the cover, the thumbnail. Las Vegas Royals. Royals. I said Royals and it's Royale. But that's fine. Basically, if you want to have the feeling of gambling without spending money, play this game. It's a really fun, like, chance rolling the dice game. Very simple. You have like a basic component where you're rolling 6-sided dice, and on your board you have 6 casinos represented from Las Vegas, and in each of those casinos you have 2 sets of sums of money that you can win. And basically how the game works is you roll your dice, you choose the same number of dice, the number of dice with the same value.
There you go.
And there we go. I was like, how do I phrase this? And then you put it onto whatever casino that you want to earn, like which probably has the most money, and the person with the most of their dice represented in that casino gets the larger sum, and then the second place winner gets the lower sum. You have like 6-sided dice, and you have a bigger 6-sided dice which counts as 2 dice, so that's a fun just base component.
You gotta say its name. You gotta say the name of the die. Do you know what the
Biggie?
name of the die is called?
Biggie. Yeah, so we have Biggie, and then as you see there are some golden board pieces that go outside of the baseboard, and those are mini games. And basically that's another element of Vegas where you are playing like miniature games and kind of taking more chances in order to win extra money. So it's super fun. Yeah, we played with Lucky Punch, where you hide 3 tokens in your hand. You have 3 tokens in your hand, and you kind of do a sleight of hand and try to have your opponent next to you guess how many you actually have in your hand. If you are able to trick them into guessing the wrong number, you get certain bonus points. And so as you can see, there are a ton of mini games there. So we got to just kind of experiment with a lot of them. You only play 3 rounds of this game, so it's really quick and means you also get to play lots and lots of games of this and try all the different mini games. I really enjoyed this. It's a very fun chance kind of rolling your dice. And like I said, probably as close as you can get to gambling without actually spending money.
I love this game, and I think that there are so many smart things going on. It's based off the original Las Vegas, which uses that dice system, the casino system of taking as many dice as you want and then placing them around. But the addition of the biggie, the mini games, and the pass tokens are brilliant, and they make this game have a bit more decision space for every single decision. I love this so much. What are your favorite mini games that you played? What were some of the ones that you played? Because you play with 9 of them, because you play 3, 3, and 3 in each round. Amazing.
Yes, I really enjoyed. Is it the black box?
The black box. You'll have to remind me what this is, because they're
so
all crazy.
You have 6 rectangles.
Yes, it's the black box.
3 of them have $0 value. It's kind of like Deal or No Deal.
Yes.
And then 3 of them have a certain sum on it. And your opponent next to you, if you're playing that game, gets to choose how to separate these boxes the values are hidden into separate groups. And you get to choose out of how they separate it. It could be 3 by 3, 2 by 4, 5 by 1. And you get to choose which one you're going for. My husband did me dirty. And no, he just did a really good job. He did 3 by 3 and he separated them all into 0 and then all of the sums. So there was it was all or nothing. And so I picked the wrong one. And I got $0 from it, but that's just a really that was definitely a win or lose, win it all or lose it all kind of thing.
That's exactly what I do whenever I play that one. I always split them into zeros and then full value on the other one.
There was another one. I don't think it's pictured on here. It's jackpot. Jackpot's the one. So you start with a low number. And you roll your dice, and you have to get a 7 or something.
Doubles, I think.
Yes, doubles. And if you don't get it, the value of the jackpot goes up, and then the next person who goes for that mini game can try for it. And of course, it goes higher and higher until someone wins the jackpot, and then it goes back down. So that one's really fun to watch others do, and then try it yourself afterwards.
It's so cool because you can go and invest in a casino that you're not going to win just to try to get some extra value for whatever the minigame is. It's that draw that's there and you're always hoping to see, even though it might not be the actual best play for you. I love that so much.
Yeah.
My favorite minigame for this one is the block it minigame. The way it works is if you put a die in the casino that has that, then you take a group of dice and place them into a different casino. And these are like a neutral player's dice. So that means that they're going to cancel out whoever else is there that has the same amount of dice. I love this because it's always there. It's present. And it's something that you can decide to engage with or not engage with. And it can change the landscape of the scoring from round to round so much. It's scary as heck.
Oh, yeah. No one is safe.
I think it's a really great way to sum up this game in general. No one is safe. What an awesome experience.
Yeah. Super fun, really quick to pick up. And yeah, just a really fun, you can play with, is it 4 to 6 probably?
I think it goes from 3 to 6.
3 to 6, okay.
I don't know. This is an amazing family game that gets played a lot. My father-in-law loves it, and I love it. I rate this game a 9. I think it's almost perfect. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah,
this game is incredible.
Yeah.
Good choice. Anything else on Las Vegas Royale?
I'm glad that we played the newer version with the mini games and stuff. So that was really cool.
Perfect. So happy to hear. So that's the first game, Las Vegas Royale. Now, the first game that I was playing is one of the hottest games from last year. This is Endless Winter Paleo Americans. If you're unfamiliar, it's a worker placement game where you are using a hand of cards in order to dictate the strength of the actions that you're taking. So based on those actions, you're going to play cards to get special effects, generate resources, and you can go hunting, you can set out different settlements. But one of the biggest features of this game are the expansions that come with it. And so aside from the original large expansions, there's one with cave paintings, and there's also one that just replaces a lot of the cards in the game, the ancestors, where you're able to use a variety of new abilities for the different action spaces. There's rivers and rafts. There are also all of these little modules. And that was sort of my idea when I went to play this one again. I was like, okay, I'm just going to try to fit as many of these little modules as I can, because most of them are just a couple of cards. For example, we played with a Yeti, and the Yeti just shuffled into the animal deck. When you pulled it out, cool, we have a card that scores differently. Or we had the squirrel and the nut from Ice Age. And so half the deck, in the first half, there's the squirrel. In the second half, there's the nut. And so you're using the squirrel to try to dig for the nut. Hilarious. Love it. And the one that really impressed me, though, was this new expansion that was just a small deck of cards called the Canine Familiars. And I thought it was an awesome addition, and it bolstered one of the weaker actions in the core game. So the way that it works is there are 4 core actions that you're taking on your turn, where you're sending your worker to gain resources, do engine building. But one of the actions that you can take is a rest action. This essentially sets you up for future actions. And the way it works is you put your character on your board, and you get to draw a card, and then you get to exhaust one of your animals to gain resources. When you play with the Canine Familiars action spaces, though, the action cards, instead of drawing a card from the deck, you can look through the entire deck of the Canine Familiars and add any of them into your hand. Awesome. This is so cool because you can essentially target your next action and pick anything that you want and make it better. So if you can see one of the canines here, they say that if you use this for a specific action, you get half an action and a tool. But if you don't use it, you can use it just for a point during the eclipse phase. And by itself, it's just half of an action point, basically. And so when you grab this, you're able to look at that entire deck. So you're setting yourself up for your next action, saying, okay, I want to do the necklace action. I want to do the hunting action. So I'm going to find that specific canine familiar, put it in my hand, and now my next turn is going to be even stronger. I'm going to have an extra tool to do something with it, which is pretty important in the early game for establishing your engine. And it's such a simple add. You just take that deck of cards, put it next to the board, and anytime somebody takes a rest action, you grab that deck and pick the one you want. I love these small mini modular expansions that have big gameplay effects because it opens up the game space in general. And one of the things that I think that Endless Winter needs is expansions. So I'm glad that this expansion does a good job. So that's the small little expansion for Endless Winter Paleo Americans. Have you played this one at all, Corinn?
I have not, no, but I've heard good things.
Yes, it's not quite to the same. I wouldn't recommend it as much as I would Dune Imperium or Lost Ruins of Arnak. They use a similar worker placement deck building system, but I do think that it's a solid experience. The artwork is awesome, and I love the soundtrack that comes with it. So there's a soundtrack in the background. That's one of my favorite things for games, period.
Yeah,
but this led me to a question that I wanted to ask you, and that has to do with small expansions. So my question for you, Corinn, are what are your favorite small expansions? And to the audience as well, if you're watching this live or watching this later, let me know in the comments section, whether you're here now or later, what are your favorite small expansions? We'll make sure to feature them here, or if it's later, I'll make sure to respond to them in the comments below. So Corinn, what are your favorite small expansions that are just a little deck of cards or a tile or something like that?
Yeah, so just thinking about, talking about Stonemaier earlier, we played Scythe, and one of the expansions things that came with Scythe is they have like extra encounter cards. So more beautiful artwork, more different bonuses or opportunities that you get every time that you do an encounter, get, you know, pay popularity to get certain power, or pay certain money to get a bunch of resources and stuff. So that was really cool, just to have like even more of a reason to get those encounter moments. And again, to add to the world of Scythe in general. So I really enjoyed getting those, and I'm also a sucker for the artwork, so I'm like, yay, more artwork.
These encounters are amazing because they integrate ideas from the fan community, and they're not your basic encounters. They're super weird. Some of them are like secret conditions that you can hold on to. Some of them give you extra cards or action spaces. There's a lot of creativity in this encounters pack. So I recommend this one to anybody who enjoys Scythe for sure.
Yeah. Really.
What's your favorite encounter that you've seen in this?
Oh, that's hard. Oh no. Oh man. There was one really cool one that we just played recently where my brother-in-law, it was like basically investing in oil. So he like created like a whole, or took over like a whole oil rigging company. And he collected oil up to, I think, 8 oil. And then once he did that, he got a star. So that was like, it was like an extra element that he got to do, which was really cool. Like another way to get a star, or whatever I can't think of what it is, like the accomplishment is.
Yeah, one of your achievement stars. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was really cool. So I'm pretty sure that was from the new one.
How cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely. So the one that came to my mind, aside from all of these little modular encounters from Endless Winter, was the Gearloc Child from Too Many Bones. I don't know if you've played with this, but this is so
No.
cool. The way it works is
It's
you
so
shuffle the
cute.
Gearloc into as a loot card into the deck, and this is
Oh.
obviously inspired by the Mandalorian. And if you
Yeah.
get this loot card, then you find the child, and you get this cradle, and you're holding on to the baby, and it goes in your loot area. He takes
Uh-huh.
up 2 spaces. But by having access to the child, you have a new character that you can upgrade and get dice for. But the dice
Cute.
are not driven through your regular
Yeah.
upgrade points. They're driven through loot cards. So the
Okay.
more of these loot cards you get for the Gearloc Child, the stronger it
Mhm.
becomes. And they're weird, but fun and interesting. And that
Yeah.
means that you're able to combine these with your own character's abilities and skills. And I think that's awesome. So
That's
this is a
super
very
cute.
small one, but there are still
Yeah.
copies of it, even though it says it's only for a limited time. I love this. I think it's so
Oh,
funny.
nice. That's adorable.
Yep.
Like Baby Yoda. Yes.
Exactly. And it's
So
still
cute.
the quality you expect. It's all fancy PVC cards and the
Mhm.
mat for the actual Gearloc Child with the stuff that's going to stick in. I like this one
Yeah.
a lot.
Also super cool to get like another character.
Right? It
Yeah.
definitely has a resemblance to Gilly. Now, Philip here has a great recommendation for a small expansion. And this is from AEG. This is for tiny towns, and these are the
Okay.
tiny trees. So I do remember playing with this one a while ago. Have you played Tiny Towns before?
I have not played Tiny Towns. I know
That's
that I
okay.
think you've recommended it too, but I've always seen it in like game stores and like Barnes and Noble. And I've
It's a
always been
great
very
little
intrigued.
game.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of a sensation that I get when I play Candy Crush, where you're trying to match symbols, but they're
Yeah.
essentially you're creating polyominoes. So you're putting
Okay.
cubes down in this grid, and then when you make a specific pattern, you can suck up all those cubes that you put down to make a single shape. And so your board is getting smaller, and you're bumping into each other with your cubes. I
Mhm.
don't remember this expansion in particular, but I do remember liking it. It's really tiny. I think you start with like a seed, and it's able to grow into a tree as you play. I don't
Yeah,
have all the
so
details on this one. It's been a while since I played
I was
this.
gonna say, so is it like another like when you unlock a new kind of feature or ability in like Candy Crush or something where it's like, oh, now you have this thing that appears, and if you make it a tree, then everything explodes or whatever.
Something like that. It gives you extra
Probably.
points for sure if you
Yeah.
cultivate it and don't mess with it. I think it's like I don't know exactly, but I know that if you let it grow, it gives you points, but it gets in your way for doing so.
Makes sense. Trees are hard to move.
AEG has a bunch of awesome little expansions. So like Space Base has a bunch of expansion packs. I
Mhm.
think they do a good job with their support for even small but excellent little promos. So that's the question, and I'm curious to hear what everybody in the audience thinks. What are your favorite small expansions? So, Corinne, let's go to your second game. What's the next game that you've been playing?
I know I'm deciding on which one to talk about.
Now, for those of you
Um,
watching, I don't actually know most of Corinne's picks, so I'm pretty surprised every time she says something.
yes. I let's do Biblios, Quill, and Parchment.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, so it's a roll and write game, and it is kind of like themed around monks or yeah, like monks and like writing down. Um, you're being a pious monk, you get points for how pious you are, as well as you're rolling 6-sided dice, and you are trying to accumulate um, as many points for the first half of the game, and then you not barter, like bet, use use the amount of points that you um, auction. I can't think of it.
Bid for currency.
Bid
You bid.
bid for currency. Yep, you're using the amount of how high your dice rolls were, that accumulated total, to bid for the secondary part of the game, which has like certain special dice that you're also building up throughout the game. So like it's pretty simple to pick up, and there's two sides to it, A and B side, which is like the difference of like a pathway. That one of the components of the board is like the pathway. There's like a map pathway, and then on the other side it's more like a grid, and you have to kind of choose the number of steps you take to get to um, different symbols that you're trying to accumulate. Everything, connects together. If you fill up your let's say you fill up all of the book spaces for like a certain symbol, like the telescope or the brain. They have names and I just cannot think of them. You fill in that cross there. So that gives you extra points if you happen to be filling like everything up. So this one's really fun. Like we usually play this one as kind of like a starter, like loosen our gaming skills and all that stuff, get our brains working. So yeah, I just like this as a very quick like opener. And again, it's a fun. There's always something satisfying about a roll and write, filling in the spaces and making everything work. So yeah, that board right there is like the secondary part of the game. And so that on the side is your symbols on your sheet are represented there. And the closer you are to the altar, the more pious you are, the more points you get because church. For some reason, that's how that works. So yeah, but I it's a quick game to pick up. I enjoy all the different elements of it, and yeah, it was just it's a nice simple one to play.
I love the way that this tracks the rounds. For example, you're going to get your first round, you'll roll it, and then you'll mark it on your boxes, and then the sheet will tell you, okay, add that to your second round, and that gives you your running total, and it has you do that. So the game progresses nicely, so nobody's doing that big calculation near the middle, so the pacing is quite good. You're always knowing what's going on, how much money you currently have, and what you're trying to focus on, because you do get chances to re-roll your dice. So are you going to focus on re-rolling those white dice to get more bidding power, or are you going to focus on re-rolling the different symbols to actually get the ones you want as you're racing up the different tracks? So I like that choice a lot.
And then with the secondary part, I really like what, depending on what you're going for, if you're trying to go high up on the piety or you're trying to increase or decrease the value of the colored dice, which also represents the tracks that you're on. So that could really change your score at the end, depending on if you are working really hard to raise that value of maybe the one that you got the most and you weren't trying to, but that's just how the dice went. So yeah, some really fun elements to this game.
I also appreciate that the two different boards are so different with the way that the dice work with them, and then that main game board also has different abilities and effects on it. So when you are bidding for things, you're not bidding just for the dice, but the powers, and so it's your packet bidding essentially for all of this stuff. And so one of the packets may have one die you really want, but everything else you hate. So it's a cool decision point again. So I like a lot about this game. I still prefer the original for sure, but the Quill and Parchment definitely has that same feel and feels different in the roll and write space, which I appreciate.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add about this one, Corinn?
I just need to try the original because I know how much you really like that one.
You got to play that one, Corinn.
Yeah,
It's one of the best filler games ever. Oh, it's so good. So good, Corinn. Now, one quick thing. We talked about mini expansions. Have you played the mini expansion for this game?
No.
So this game, and you can see them right here, they have these mini expansion cards here that change the game pretty drastically, actually. What they do is they actually offer a way that you can do some interim bidding at the end of your first half. So normally you get all your money and then you spend it at the very last half of the game. But in this part, after every single round, while you're accruing your money, you'll reveal one of these cards. And this gives an open auction to everybody at the table for an extra die. And this is kind of insane because there's one of each die, so you know what's coming out, but it's going to hurt you when you go into that second part if you decide to actually spend money on this. I think that's a really awesome choice, and it gives you more ways to spend your currency, but it also tells everybody how much money you have because all the information is public in this first portion. So it's a really great tiny expansion that adds more options to actually spend your currency. I think that's awesome. So I would recommend go check it out, or this can be an easy one to proxy. You can even just roll dice and just have a random symbol generated as like a variant or something.
Gotcha. That's super cool. Yeah.
Like this one a lot. That's Biblios, Quill, and Parchment. Yeah. Anything else, Corinn? Or are you all good?
No, I'm good.
Okay. Next up, my game that I've been playing is a game series that I've really disliked really recently. And the more I play it, the more I dislike it. But this was a hit. And I can't wait to recommend this one to you. This is the Unlock series of games. Probably my least favorite escape room series, if we're being honest. I don't really like the puzzles. I think that the combination style is my least favorite way of puzzle solving. And this game has a lot of that. But Star Wars Unlock is so cool. I love this experience. And I can't recommend this this one enough. So Star Wars Unlock is the exact same system, but it uses its own app. It's ran through the intellectual property of Star Wars, so it's a bit more expensive than the others because they have to pay for that license. But the gameplay is a story that is told so well. It's quick, it's fast, it's fun, it's thematic, and the puzzles make sense in what you're doing. Now, I know that they try to do this a lot in all of the other Unlock series, but the focus here is on reliving the adventure of Star Wars. Now, I'm not going to get into too many spoilers, but I'm not going to show you anything, actually. So this is going to be a very short one. But you can see that there are 3 different places you're going to. We'll just talk about Hoth, for instance.
Sure.
Now, the puzzles aren't particularly difficult, but they are set in a way that you are consistently moving. You feel like you're in this adventure. You feel like you're on the rebel base in Hoth. You feel like these people are coming and attacking you, like you're getting into the ships. It's so good. I think this is the best Unlock for sure. I've had so much fun with this box, and it made me sort of step for a moment and be like, okay, maybe I have to go try all the other unlocks because this one was so good. I don't know if it was a fluke. If anybody's watching this and enjoys the Unlock series, let me know. I love the Exit series of games. It's my preferred way to play the escape room style. But this Star Wars Unlock has impressed me so much. I know that they have the Ticket to Ride Unlock and Mysterium Unlock, so that's a thing. It's still in that universe or that thematic. I'm curious to know if the story is strong enough in those to carry this arc that's present in these Unlock series. I just want to know if there's more like this out there. I've had such a good time with this, and this is the best Unlock that I've played, period. Like there's no question. This is up there with some of the best Exit games, which is crazy. So can't recommend this one enough. That is the Star Wars Unlock series.
That's awesome.
Have you tried this? Have you experienced this, Corinn?
No, actually, because we love escape rooms, like going to them in real life, and so I've never actually been not open to try and take home escape things, but I'm like, how's the experience like the same? So now this really excites me to try, not only because I've seen the Exit ones everywhere, and I know that they look really good. So yeah, this excites me to try that. And of course, Star Wars, my husband is a huge Star Wars fan, so this is like right up our alley. So this would be really cool to try out. So yeah, that makes me excited.
It's great. And the app has the music from Star Wars included in it. So the soundtrack is paired. You've got sound effects. And I know spoilers, but the Hoth one actually has you choose abilities and upgrades right at the beginning. So that's not a spoiler because you do it right away. But oh, wow. It's cool. I like this a lot.
That's awesome.
Oh my gosh. And that got me thinking. Here's our second question of the video. What game was rethemed into a better game for you? For me, this Star Wars Unlock has blown every single other Unlock out of the water. And so it got me thinking of what other games, once they got rethemed, became something better. Do you have any examples of this, Corinn? It's okay if you don't. Mine is like a really loose reach.
Yeah, it's not coming to my brain.
That's okay.
At the moment. That one's really hard because I know we've talked in the past about like what games we love that we would love for it to have a different theme. So this one, I feel like I can't think of one because maybe they haven't been made yet.
That's true. And if they do get made, yes, please. Give me something that I don't know that I want. One game that I have heard that apparently is a better version because of the theming than the original is Assassin's Creed Brotherhood of Venice. Now, I can't speak to the original game of V Commandos, which it is based off of, but Assassin's Creed Brotherhood of Venice takes the stealth system from that game and pairs it with the Assassin's Creed universe. So I think this is an awesome pairing of the game. So not necessarily a replacement or retheme into a better game, but it's one that I know that the theme works well in the stealth system. So I'm curious, if you're watching now, let me know down in the comments if you've experienced a game that was rethemed into something better, because I know that's something that I'm always interested when a mechanism pairs perfectly with a specific thing.
Yes.
Awesome. So that was the Star Wars Unlock game. Corinn, what's your third game that you've been playing?
Just rounding out the conversation of how we started with Stonemaier Games, I'm talking about Scythe.
Nice. Okay.
Played some Scythe. Honestly, it's very funny because this particular game of Scythe that I played, I was last. I did not play very well. But it was just really fun to always explore the game of Scythe. I played Polania.
You'll have to remind me what color that is.
That is white and red. So that is Anna and Wojtek, the bear. So super cool. If I said his name right, I think I did. It's Wojtek. I've been saying it wrong for a long time. Anyway, so Polania. And so their special ability is that you can choose two outcomes of the encounter cards, which is super fun. And so that was kind of what I focused on during this game, and that kind of bit me in the butt a little bit because it turned out where I was doing a lot of things and making them come out very equally, but not getting any of those really star achievements until like the very end. I was just super behind. So I don't know if that was what bit me in the butt going after the encounters, or just wasn't a good game for me. But we played with 3 other players, my husband, and then my sister, my brother-in-law, our usual gaming group. My sister was Rusviet, which is my favorite because you can keep your player at the same spot and repeat actions instead of always having to change where you go on the board. My husband was the Nords, and then what was my brother-in-law? He was the Boars, the green.
Oh, green boys. Okay.
The green boys from the expansion of Invaders from Afar. So it was a very interesting game. Yeah, but Scythe in general is such a great game. Area control, battles, resource collecting, worker placement. Another thing that we kind of were realizing as we were playing Scythe is probably one of the worst games to take out and put away. Just in like time management, I'd say, or like the time it takes to do that. It's super awesome. Like, I'm not complaining about all the components. I think they all add to the game. I've talked about my friend John painting all of our miniatures and just like adding terrain, textures and all this stuff. So everything is super awesome, but it's definitely, we don't have, which is something we need to invest in probably, is like a better organization system. That's probably why it takes so long. But anyway, great game. Not a great game for me this last time, but a super great game overall. We also played, because it was 4 players, we played with the opposite side where it's like a bigger board and then you add the secondary board and everything's like zoomed in, which is very fun. Yeah, and it just makes me very excited for Expeditions, the sequel to the Scythe world, because it's just so neat. Like, living in it wouldn't be a great world to live in, but it's very neat to look at with giant mechs and airships.
Yeah, I don't know how I would feel if some random general for an army came to my house, revealed their encounter card, then stole all my wheat. That would be pretty awful.
Yeah, right. Or like, yeah, I'm gonna steal all of your sheep or kill your, livestock to eat because I'm invading your land.
Those are the strongest ones to pick, though, for those encounters. Anything that just gets you like a turn or 3 ahead, anything that generates a mech, do that. Kill the guy, take his mech. Anything that gets you any extra action that you have to pay resources for, insane.
Yeah, super fun. Yeah, we played with the airships. We did all the things.
Oh, yeah.
The airship abilities, I feel like this time weren't... Well, it was funny because the airships gave the same ability to all players as it was for Polania, which is you get to do 2 encounters or 2 decisions from the encounter, 2 outcomes from the encounter cards.
So you didn't have a special ability.
But halfway through the game, I did get Rusviet's ability because I think it was an encounter card that allowed me to do that. Something allowed me to basically copy an ability of another player. So I was like, I'm doing Rusviet. I don't know. It was a bad game for me, but a great game overall.
Scythe is a game that people don't like to play with me, and I think it's really funny. The way that I play Scythe is most people that I play with, and there's like a lot of groups that play this way, is they'll kind of do their own thing and just hang out, engine build in their own area. I love never producing and just stealing other people's things. A lot of people are like, oh, if you take my people, you'll lose Papia. I'm like, who cares? Like, I'm getting 3 turns ahead of you. And so there's some characters that can jump multiple spaces or can like jump over rivers or abuse tunnels. And so I love just popping up to where people are engine building and stealing stuff from them.
would-
Woe to all the people who are to the left and right of me, who just happen to be close to me within jumping range.
I would love to see you play against my husband, because he always does the same thing, which is accumulate all of his like workers in the same spot and then disperse them. So yeah, I think that would be a very interesting dichotomy.
It's kind of insane because if you jump into a person's space, you displace all their workers. So that means they have to do extra movement actions. You've taken away some of their production actions, so they have to redo that. And now you've ruined their comboing with the different resources that they're pairing to those top and bottom actions. So by being a butt, you get to you ruin their turns for like 4 turns. And people hate that. It's such a terrible feeling. And I feel bad for doing it, but I'm never not going to do it because it puts you so far ahead, particularly if you're playing in like 4 or 3 player games. If you play it in 5, there's going to be other people on the other side of the map that if they're not fighting each other, it's going to be pretty unfortunate. But this game is like, it rewards you so much for being a butthole, and I love it. That's my favorite part of it. Like, I think it's great. The randomness kind of hits me the wrong way a lot of times, because if you do get an encounter card, you're going to steamroll the game, which is kind of insane. Like, if you get that extra mech or that enlistment bonus, and some of the factions are clearly ridiculous, like yellow is crazy. Oh my gosh.
Yes. What are they called? I can't think of it off the top of my head, but yes, I know exactly. Yes, my husband usually plays yellow.
Yellow is crazy good. Being able to throw away garbage cards and just focusing on enlisting. So strong. Oh my gosh.
Yes. Great game.
Anything else on Scythe?
Just excited for the next chapter of it.
Yeah, I want to see this exploration in this world, a different game mechanisms, an entire game idea, but set in this area. I'm all for it. I like the writing in the Rise of Fenris expansion. Have you played that with the campaign?
We have it, but we haven't played it. No.
Okay, the writing is cool because it does have world building for that area. Yeah. So I think before you play the expeditions, try out the Rise of Fenris and get some of that background. Also, I think the expansions in Rise of Fenris are awesome. We use them pretty much in every game of Scythe we play now.
Nice.
So I recommend it. Go give it a try. After Frosthaven, of course.
Always first.
If that'll happen. Oh boy. All right.
I mean, if we're playing it as much as we are, maybe we'll get through it pretty quick.
True. I loved your explanation. A little spoiler to Corinn's list later. It's like 98% gaming was Frosthaven these last couple of weeks for Corinn. Amazing. All right, this brings us to my last game, and this is a weird game that I had no idea even existed, but it's from the same company that put out one of my favorite party games from last year, Phantom Inc. This is the board game Retrograde. It's set in a classic arcade, and it's a real-time roll and write experience where you are rolling up dice as fast as you can to try to gain matching symbols in order to blast these spaceships, Galaga style, Space Invader style, out of your board. And so the way it works is you're able to roll the dice as often as you like, and based on the numbers you get, that determines what you can cross off on this game board in front of you. So you are trying to roll specific dice because when you decide to stop, you're going to take one of those cards in the center there, and that determines the dice you can actually allocate to your board. So if I'm rolling and I'm rolling a bunch of blues and somebody snags the blue one right before I take it, I'm going to have to keep on rolling because, oh my gosh, I got to keep going because now there's no blue. I can't allocate the blue, but these aliens in the middle also have special abilities that they have attached to them. So coins to give you special effects, or asteroids that let you destroy any one thing. And so it's a race against the other players at the table. And once you become the last person that's still rolling, you only get 2 more rerolls before you have to just take one of the leftover upgrade cards. So it's terrifying because you are racing against everybody, and at any moment that thing that you're working towards, that you're saving all your dice for, can disappear. Now the game itself is pretty dang simple when it comes to scoring. You're going to be crossing off these different rows and columns. You get abilities for completing abilities for completing rows that will get you some of these upgrade abilities, and then you'll get extra points for completing columns. So your goal is essentially get all the columns done. If you do, you get big points, and whoever has those points at the end wins. I thought it was a great great idea for a roll and write game, particularly because the real time is based on everybody else and not necessarily a timer. So the pacing is dictated by the players, which I thought was a really smart idea. And all of the boards are different. So every time you play, and this can it's kind of a good thing and kind of a bad thing, where if you want to make this game last for a long time and keep that variability, you have to laminate everything and then play with that. Or you could just say, whatever, I'll laminate 8 of them, but then you're losing out on that variability if you're just using the pen and paper on them. Right. So you have to go, it's a weird place to be where, yeah, it'd be great to have everything already dry erased, but you're losing all the crazy variability, which is awesome that they include it. But I think the game as itself is a cool experience. I don't know if this is one that I'll ever ask to play myself. I think it's sort of one note, unfortunately. It's not one that I think I'm going to come back to, but I think this company puts out great quality games, but this does not really hold a candle, I think, to the party atmosphere experience that Phantom Inc. had. I think that if I'm going to play a real-time dice game, I'm going to pick something like Vengeance Roll and Fight, where you have the variability with the abilities and powers, and you still have that competition for the dice where you're reaching for this collective pool in the center. So, but overall, I think Retrograde is a cute idea. I think that the Space Invaders theme is better used in other games, and I think the real-time roll and write is also used in other games as well. So not a big recommendation, but a neat time. If you can give it a try, you might have a good time with it. That is Retrograde. Have you played any roll and write games that use a real-time aspect like this, Corinn?
I don't know if I've done any that are like the real-time aspect. I think they've all been like That's So Clever, or the game that I just mentioned, Biblios. Good gracious. Cool Parchment.
This leads to a good question, though, Corinn. When you play a roll and write game, and this is my last question for today, what do you look for? So if you want to play one of these style games, because I know you're a big fan of Yahtzee, and I know you like Biblios, and as you mentioned, that's pretty clever. What do you look for when you're wanting to play a roll and write or flip and write game?
Ooh, I think one of the things that I really like about like That's So Clever is the ability that it has to kind of compound upon itself. So you have multiple instances of checking off parts of the board. I will say, though, when you were talking about, just need to laminate everything, it's kind of the same problem with That's So Clever. You could do that with That's So Clever, though, because it is the same board every time. There isn't like variation in that sense. So that is a little bit more solvable, but it's very funny where we're like, wait, how do we, because the scoreboard's on the back of each player sheet, and every player gets a sheet, and it's like, well, we don't all need to have the same score on all of our cards and things like that. So something like that where it's just the ability, honestly, to like check off a lot of things. Like, because that's part of the thing of writing, like roll and write, is that kind of satisfying feeling of being able to check a lot of things off. So
I totally agree with you. Like, those are the two things I wrote down. Combos, and I also like constant play. Those are the two things I really enjoy in roll and write games. And I think that this is the best example. This was literally, I had this pre-uploaded in a tab because this is the one that I was going to talk about too. Because That's Pretty Clever is so good. This entire series is phenomenal with that constant engagement, constant good choices of picking dice or re-rolling or picking worse ones to get better rolls in the future. I think That's Pretty Clever has that combo-centric nature in spades with the different mini games overlapping each other. So great pick, Corinn. This is awesome.
Yeah. Well, thank you for recommending it. Finally got it. So played it. So good.
I'm glad you like it. Have you just played the original, or have you dived into the other versions?
No, just the original so far.
Okay. I'm enjoying the 4th one right now. So I imported it from Canada, so that way I can get it played right away. Nice. It's so good. It's still in German, but
now, are they expansions, or are they completely kind of separate games?
They are standalone games. They come with their own dice, own pads, and each of the mini games is different, but that core system of roll the dice, draft them, and then re-roll is the same. They have different bonuses, though, different ways to score, different overlapping abilities, and different ways to interact with like that main dish area, which I think is fun. So there's a lot of cool, innovative mechanisms from them, but they keep the core, which is so satisfying. And that's what I appreciate.
Awesome.
So that is my last question. What things do you look for in a roll and write game? And that's the end of this portion of the video. Now we're getting to the last part, all the games we've played. So Corinn, go ahead and list off all of the games that you played, your favorite experience, your least favorite experience, and we'll talk about the things we're excited to play for in the future at the end of the video.
So it's a whopping 6 games, and you can blame Frosthaven for that. So the games that I've been playing are Frosthaven, Scout, Las Vegas Royale, Scythe, Biblios, Quill, and Parchment, and Wingspan.
Excellent. And what was the standout one? I'm going to venture a guess and say it's Frosthaven.
Actually, I will say it was Las Vegas Royale.
Yo, what a great game.
It was super, super fun. I mean, Frosthaven is always good. I feel like it's just like, you don't need to mention it because it's so good. It's just more, I felt like, I will say for this Frosthaven, this last time we played Frosthaven, we went on a side quest for one of our characters to like help retire them. And it felt like when you are a lower level character and you find like a really hard boss and you're not supposed to fight them yet, that's how it felt, because we did not do well.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
We're just like, we're gonna leave that scenario alone and then come back a little later.
You'll never retire.
Yeah,
sorry, bud. You're never gonna retire.
Yeah. So that was really funny. But yes, Las Vegas Royale was super fun, and I really enjoyed just the competitiveness with my gaming group. So I thought that was really fun. Probably the lowest was Scythe, but only because, like I said, it did not feel good. It wasn't a good game for me, but still a fun game to play. But yeah, it was definitely like need to play it again.
Gotcha. All right, we'll go ahead and move on to my list. I have 50 unique titles, and here we go. Lands of Galzyr, John Company's 2nd edition, Retrograde, Clans of Caledonia, Marvel Zombies, Hues and Cues, Dune Imperium, Capital X2 Generations, Blood on the Clocktower, Frostpunk the board game, Sleeping Gods, Atiwa, Unmatched, Dungeons and Dragons, Resist, Warp's Edge, Paperback Adventures, Final Girl, Star Wars Unlock, Vagrantsong, Massive Darkness 2 Hellscape, Far Away, Trogdor, the board game, Zabarius, Ark Nova, Atlantis Rising, 5 Tribes, Kingdom Rush, Rift in Time, Millennium Blades, Omen, A Reign of War, Arena the Contest, Too Many Bones, Cockroach Poker, Imperium Classics, Etherfields, Hadrian's Wall, Arkham Horror, the card game, Concordia Venus, Paleo, Motor City, Hallertau, Ragemore, Marvel Legendary, Hoplomachus Remastered, Endless Winter, Paleo Americans, Nidavellir, Tavern Masters, Clever Forever, Fleet the Dice Game, and Splitter. Whew. So my top 3 were Massive Darkness 2 Hellscape. My wife has been loving this game, so we've been getting to play a lot, and we played through all of the different characters now. So I now have this repertoire of all the different abilities, so I don't have to learn anything now when we play. And so the games are streamlined, and we had our first boss fight that was amazing. So the boss fights in Massive Darkness 2 Hellscape are awesome. They've got this additional board, and when it happens, you all get like warped into the fight, and it feels very boss fighty. You have all these like terrain things, and you're surrounding it, hitting it, and the boss is acting after every single person's turn. So it's terrifying. I love the boss system in Massive Darkness 2. The other top games were Too Many Bones. The new Riffle character came out, and he's been so much fun to play with. Crazy powerful, but he's got a deck of cards that you're playing with in addition to the dice. So much fun. And then the other thing that was one of my top games was Far Away. It's a RPG combat system put into a board game. It's awesome. It's exploration on new planets as you're interacting with this ecosystem while trying to complete the different objectives and tasks. I talked about it on Corporate Cardboard a little bit ago, and what an awesome experience. So if you haven't tried Far Away 2nd edition, and that sounds interesting to you, with AI that are controlled by role playing, it's such a great concept that reduces the fiddliness and the annoyance of flow charts and behavior trees. My bottom 3 were Kingdom Rush, Rift in Time. I did a couple of scenarios that felt like nothing happened. It was really unfortunate. 2 scenarios that I played, and lost one, tried again, just nothing happened. And it felt like just oppressive for sort of no reason and no real fun aside it. I was sitting there a long time planning and not really getting a lot done. Not a feeling that I like where your progression is halted so quickly. Not a fan. Next was Tavern Masters. This was a Kickstarter game that my friend Jeff introduced me to, and it was so random. It was crazy random, and the entire experience, I think, was sort of marred by that because one of our players drew a hand of cards and literally couldn't play anything on their first turn and just lost because they couldn't play anything on their first turn. And I also could not play anything on my first turn, but in my second and third turn, I could play every single card, and it was great. It's a game where you're like getting these equipments, you're paying for them, and you start with like $3, and so you're paying for like one or two things. And then if you happen to have a good that you draw in the next phase, because you draw 3 random cards, and you happen to have the good, then those people will come to your place, give you money, and then you can use that money to buy more stuff. So if you don't get a match in the first round, you basically lose because you can't buy more things to get more matches, and your hands just get progressively worse, and it sucks. So I think the game is way too random. I thought the thematics were cool. I thought that the game idea was interesting. I thought that the entire setting was neat, but I think that the game is inherently flawed because of that. And it happened to 2 of the people at the table. They just didn't draw what they needed.
Yeah.
So that was not a great feeling to be sitting there and be like, I'm soaring, I'm flying, and you're getting wrecked. And so don't really like experiences like that. And then lastly, I had a really bad play of 5 Tribes. This was a solo game that I wanted to try, and I thought the solo experience was fine. I think my preferred way to play still is 5 Tribes 2-player. Now, the 5 Tribes play was not terrible. It was fine. It wasn't anything special, though, and almost all the games that I played have been, like, amazing. So having, like, a subpar experience with the solo mode of 5 Tribes was just all right. But, yeah, so that's all of the games that we've been playing. And here is my question for you, Corinn. What are you excited to play in the near future?
Frosthaven. Frosthaven always. We got some expansions from Christmas that we haven't gotten to experience yet. So we did play Wingspan, but we played with the Asia expansion, but we actually didn't do the duet mode that they have. So I'm excited to play that because the gameplay looks really neat for that. As well as we got a expansion for Temporum with I think it's like different dimensions. I think that's what it was. So my husband really likes that game. He introduced that to me when we were dating. So that'll be exciting to play an expansion of that game. Was there any other ones? More Caper Europe. So
excellent. Good picks. For me, I want to just play some more Glory to Rome. I have it in my bag, and hopefully I get to play some tonight. We'll see. It sometimes happens, sometimes doesn't. I always like to bring it, though, because it's a nice, quick little card game, and I love it.
Yeah.
Other game I want to play is Weather Machine. I have a friend of mine, Dee Dee, who just got a copy of it. So if she can learn it and teach us, awesome. Excited to try it. It's one that I've been looking at because the theme looks so cool. It's like a Ghibli film meets Clyde with a Chance of Meatballs. So good, but it's like the heaviest game that came out last year, so it's like this beast of a teach. So I'm happy that I don't have to learn this. It was one thing that was keeping me from even trying it out. Just
that sounds amazing.
It sounds awesome. So that's one that I want to definitely give a try if possible. So those are things I'm excited to try soon. And then we quickly have a couple of comments from John Franklin saying that the Unlock series can be gamey. You could end up trying to figure out how to work with the app and solving a puzzle. Sometimes it's not as intuitive, which makes sense. I think that the app is its biggest strength and its biggest weakness, personally, for the Unlock series. When it's done well, the experience is amazing, but when it's not, it can really hinder it, which is unfortunate. And then he also says Star Wars Unlock is, as you said, following a storyline with a good pace. Had fun playing it while eating out at Old Chicago. Awesome. So you can just bring it wherever and still have a great time. I'm so happy you enjoyed it. It's one of my favorite experiences with the Unlock franchise in general, and just escape room games in general. Amazing. So that's where we're going to cut off the episode today. Thank you so much for joining me, Corinn, and for our audience members, Philip and John Franklin. Thank you for being here. Excited to hear what you have to say in your upcoming videos, Corinn. Anything else that you're excited that's coming out soon for your channel?
Still have a big project that I'm working on, like eyeballing it right now. Creative project for Marvel Champions. I think I've teased it a few times now. It's taking me forever, but I'm super excited to get that done. Just more board games to talk about, as well as I also did, you can see that third video down. It is the year of Sanderson for Brandon Sanderson fans. So super excited to get those monthly subscription boxes with really cool merch. So yeah, just stay tuned for all the nerdy things. There's definitely more board game stuff to talk about. I love every time that I get such a good response of aesthetically pleasing board games. So please, if you have any favorite aesthetically pleasing board games, watch that video, or don't even watch the video and just comment down below what you love like so much about your favorite like aesthetically pleasing board games, because I love to just check them out. So
have you played Oath?
No.
Oath is my favorite artwork in board games, period. I think it has the best aesthetics of any board game. I don't think it's the best board game, not top 100 material at all, but it tells an awesome story and it's gorgeous. So if you're looking for just something that's beautiful, give Oath a try. You might like it. It's a good game for a group. It's a good game for anybody, honestly.
Yeah.
It evolves as you play, which is
because it's made by the same people who made Root.
Same artist as well. So Kyle Farron did the art in it. And you can look up all the art from all the different Denizen cards. Oh my gosh, it's so cool.
That's awesome. Yeah. So
that would be my recommendation for strictly aesthetics. And that would be the cards from the entire world from Oath, Chronicles of Empire and Exile. You have to go look at them later. I'll give you a link. It's called Oath Card Artwork, and you can see them all. They're all in their beautiful glory. I'll just show you a quick little sneak peek here. It's just oathcards.saria.com, and you can see all the different denizens from the deck because they have like different rulings and stuff.
I just loved that top one. The guy's just gonna yeet another guy off the.
He's a wrestler.
I didn't read the top. I just saw the artwork.
Well, he definitely is eating that man out of the ring. So I mean, you're not wrong. But oh my gosh!
Oh, those are so cool looking. Yes, I love the art style of the artist or artists of the Root games and Oath. They're just so good.
Kyle Farron is the best at what he does, I think.
So good.
Very unique style that works perfectly, and I think every game he's touched. It's the reason that we like get half of those letter games. It's so tempting just because of how pretty they are. Yeah. So we'll wrap up the video there. Thank you so much for being here and watching. Those are the board games that we've been playing. That's been episode 29. Thanks so much for watching. SideGame Strong, y'all.